Hi, my name is Sajali. I want you to imagine and ponder about this for a moment. The other day, I was spending my weekend with a close relative of mine. She is in her 30s and she has 3 kids. We're having conversations, catching up on matters close to us and other things, until she brought up something she's curious about, or rather, she made a statement. She said, "Kids these days are pampered, is it? Why are they all so loud about mental health? They can't do much and they already want to rest." I was taken aback because I thought discussing mental health is not a taboo anymore. There's an abundance of encouragement to seek help for mental health issues and many others who advocate for the same. Experts, doctors, researchers are encouraging not only the youth but all generations to take care of themselves, physically and mentally, from a scientific stance, and organizations such as NGOs who volunteer to be a friend and willing to listen to anyone in need. And truth be told, my close relative is not the only one with a similar thought, because other than my peers who are students in majority, it seems that generations before us aren't familiar with the importance of mental health. So, why is mental health seen in a bad light? You see, I'm currently an undergraduate in a law school. As many other undergraduates like I am, I'm familiar with the topics of mental health. Every now and then, there will be invited speakers, or every so often, reminders from the Students' Welfare Bureau reminding us to take care of our mental health. A good night's sleep, a proper rest, telling us to go out and have fun once in a while so as to not drown ourselves from the shackles of stress, whether it be academically or personally. And sometimes they remind us that it's okay to pay a visit to the counselor or even a visit to the psychiatrist. It is now common and encouraged that we speak of our mental health. For example, previously, that amongst men, it was once a stigma that men should not be weak. But from where I'm coming from, my peers who, regardless whether they are girls or boys, they are not afraid to be open about their mental health. It's quite common that we encourage them to speak about their feelings, and the things that they're going through are often shared amongst our friends. And to some, they seek professional help and strive to take care of not only their physical health but mentally too. And to me, and to the people I often spend time with, it's not a taboo. So, before we delve into the topic deeper, allow me to ask you whether you can tell the difference between ADHD, depression, or even autism. How do you perceive these conditions? Do they fall under the same umbrella term, or are they distinct matters from each other? Majority of people, regardless of their age, have met someone who has autism. And if they are often cared for by their family members or someone who is responsible to take care of them, they sometimes are part of society. They are able to eat in restaurants or even work, depending on the spectrum. It's understandable and accepted. But what about a girl who is unable to join her family for dinner and perceived as rude and lazy by the rest of the people at the dinner? What's her story? Allow me to share with you a story about Julia. She recently lost her father. It did not help at the very fact that she was close to him, and her loss affected her deeply. While life must go on and she tried to get back on her feet, her once cheerful and bubbly character turned into a harrowing view. She was not her usual self. She was showing signs of depression and distancing herself from her own mother. Her mother, unfortunately, who was experiencing loss herself, could not be there for a child as she could have. But it was when her brother came home over the weekend that he took the initiative to take his sister to the hospital. He was surprised that when her sister was locked in her room and screaming continuously, that he had to explain to his mother that this was not normal behavior and the next step was actually to take her to the doctor. As it turns out, she was diagnosed with major depression disorder. The symptoms were there. She was already unable to get out of her bed, often has episodes where she is unable to focus on her tasks, and every so often experiences heart palpitations that endangers her well-being, not to mention the other disorders that she is diagnosed with that affects her daily life. So is it truly a sign of weakness? Or is it an illness that needs to be healed? She's a student like me, but truly, she does not experience it alone. Many others experience the same as her despite their age. So being in my position, observing such situations, has made me realize that there is something needed to be done when we are speaking of mental health. But we can only go so far if there aren't any proactive actions by the people closest to the situations in need. So how do we get there? I have formulated 3 things for us to move further in our fight for mental health. The first being to actually build a bridge between your family members, as well as your closest friends, despite their age, in understanding the importance of mental health by educating them the right approach when the symptoms are showing. From speaking to trusted ones, the feelings inside, to paying a visit to the doctor to properly determine the diagnosis. The second being encouraging them that mental health issues are not signs of weakness, but rather symptoms of illnesses that need to be looked at by experts in science and taking the possible steps of healing. Call up your local doctor or your nearest counselor and ask for their help to teach you on how you can be there for your best friend, your older cousin, or even your own mother, to encourage them to get help for their mental health if ever necessary. And the third, being the most important approach of all, is to encourage them to perceive mental health issues with sympathy and empathy. There's never a generational gap or the perception that one generation is weaker than the other, but rather, with the knowledge, education, and technological advances, the illnesses are only more known, no longer hidden from the stigma or perception or the unknown. It is undoubted that living in today's generation, I am privileged to have been exposed to many talks and conferences held in regards to taking care of one's mental health that has enlightened me to perceive mental health in a positive light. But where has all those exposure to mental health brought us? If it's only targeted to the youth, then how could it truly be groundbreaking to break generations and generations taboo on mental health? Perhaps we can have conversations again with our close relatives on how and why there is an importance of taking care of one's mental health. Rather than perceiving mental health in a negative light, I encourage you to take a different approach in tackling this ongoing fight for a better understanding of mental health issues. It does not only affect students and generations of today, it affects generations before us too. Just because it's prevalent now does not mean it never existed. It's only made more known. Thank you.